you're a plant manager or a supervisor getting frustrated with the amount of call-ins and no-shows, killing your output, driving overtime costs, and just ruining your team morale, then this video is for you. I'm Brad with Murdoch Manufacturing, and I've spent over 10 years in manufacturing, started on the floor, rose through the supervisor ranks, and became the GM. One of my toughest plants that I had to deal with had call-ins that were completely out of control. I had a high turnover culture, unpredictable staffing every single day for every single shift. You never knew what you were walking into. In months, we had cut those call-ins and those no-shows by 50%, and I want to explain exactly how we did that. Here's the real steps that worked for us. Let's dive in. When I took over, I didn't want to just rush straight into punishments or big changes. I started by digging into the data and the patterns that we could all see, tracking which shifts, which departments, and what days had most issues. Funny enough, I mean, it's not really funny, but typically when people got paid, the very next day was our highest day where people wouldn't come to work. Step one is to understand the root cause, trying to understand exactly why people don't want to show up for work. We attempted to go ahead and just ask every single person, why aren't you coming in? Can you tell us? There's going to be no judgment, no ramifications for telling us. We just wanted to know. Unfortunately, you're just not going to get people that want to be very upfront with you, but it's still worth trying to do. Eventually, what we ended up doing is making it anonymous. We had a little cardboard box, some papers that we handed out at a meeting, got people to fill it in anonymously, stick it in the box. And then we had someone completely separate from me because I knew people's handwritings. I could typically tell who's doing what. And I had them pull it all out, read it all, and put it into a form. We typed it up, and then I reviewed it from there. And you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt because you just don't know how accurate it is, but it is worth doing. You can get some little nuggets from that, so it is worth trying. The common answers were typically childcare, burnout, car troubles, transportation, or even in some cases it was feeling undervalued. Maybe they had a bad day, they didn't feel like they were valued for all the work that they were putting in. Step two in all of this, and this is really important though, is a clear policy that you need to have in place with fair consequences. So what we did is we wrote a simple policy, attendance policy, I should say, with expectations. Some plants like to do point systems, so you can try that, and progressive discipline. You need to have this all written out and you need to have them sign off. And you really should be doing this at the onboarding stages. If you don't have this in place now, do it, pass it out, get them to sign it. For any new hires, have this in place and get them to sign off. They need to know exactly what the expectations are and exactly what the disciplinary ramifications will be for not coming to work. And you need to also put in there very clearly as to what is acceptable and not acceptable. Can they call in and give you 10 hours notice, a day's notice, 5 hours notice, or is a call-in a call-in? You need to figure this out and you need to have it all drafted. Now, if you're in a union plant, you're gonna wanna also have your union rep involved in this. If you don't have this implemented already, of course, you're gonna have to go back to the union, get this all squared up. But this really should be in their union handbook that gets passed out to all the employees when they get hired. So that needs to be in there as well. You need people to sign off. So make sure you do that. But the fix number one that we did was we tried to address the root cause directly. We couldn't change the fixed shift times. I mean, we would help if it was possible, but if someone had an issue in their schedule and they couldn't come in, we just hope that they can give us adequate time to prepare so we can get someone else in place. Don't just not show up, right? Shift swaps with supervisor, if it can be approved, it's another way of doing it. I've even dealt with some plants that don't give their employees adequate notice as to what their schedule is going to look like in the future. This is a huge one. If you're only giving your guys a couple of days notice as to what their schedule is going to look like, you're going to have call-ins. You need to set it up so that they can plan their life out and be prepared to come to work. In my opinion, if you can always make it static days, times, keep it the same every day, every week, every month for the year, that's the best. People can figure out their lives. But if it's constantly changing, you have to give them adequate notice to reduce these call-ins. Fix number 2 in all of this was positive incentives. If you can do this in your plant, it's really great. Recognition for perfect attendance. You can do shout out in huddles. Some people like to do small bonuses, extra PTO for days and streaks that they've accomplished for not missing any days. We didn't do any extra PTO, but what you can do is you can have incentives, group incentives. Having individual incentives doesn't give anybody any extra pressure to show up to work. The people who are gonna call in are gonna call in. You're not really gonna be able to stop that by incentivizing like a $100 gift card or something like that. They're already missing out on a day's pay by not coming in. They don't care about that. If it's a group incentive, hey, maybe everyone gets a bonus because you all were here for a full month, no missed days. That can put the peer pressure on for the employees who are a little bit struggling with this and kind of get them going and getting them on the right direction and the right path and making sure they're not calling in. Fix number 3 is daily huddles. I mean, I've said this in almost every video, but this is a great place to have good communication. It made sure that people felt heard, what's bugging you, and all that other stuff, right? But really what this can do is you can, in those huddles, you can express the stress that this causes you and the other people on the shift or in the plant that are now having to pick up the pieces for someone who's called in. And if they're seeing this and they're understanding that there's some stress elements to this by them just not showing up, it hopefully can help with them making sure that they do their best by giving adequate notice or by just getting to work, right? Fix number 4, this isn't really necessarily a fix to reduce the amount of call-ins or no-shows, but it is your cross-training. It's prepping for those days where people just don't show up. You need to have good cross-training, good depth in your plant so that you can cover those gaps, keep moving forward, keeping your production up, keeping your morale up. The last thing you want is have people not equipped to handle the new place that they're in or they're unfamiliar with, having safety issues and concerns. So you need depth on the floor. Fix number 5 is to track and celebrate wins publicly. Again, this kind of ties into the huddles as well as the fix number 2, the positive incentives. You want to just be publicly shouting out the people who are doing well, coming to work, and having a good attendance. These fixes aren't complicated. It just needs to be consistent, addressing the root causes while holding people accountable. In one of the plants that I managed, we had a progressive discipline set in place for all of these types of infractions. It started with a verbal, then it went to a written, then it went to a 1-day suspension, then it went to termination. There are some things that I've seen in some plants that work really well. Let's say someone has called in multiple times. They've gone through a lot of the progressive discipline steps. They get to the last one. They're about to get terminated if they do it one more time. They've already been suspended, but they've gone a full year with no call-ins or 6 months, whatever you determine is a good amount of time. You can have a holding section where they stay there so that the next time it happens, you can say, hey, because you did this really well before, hey, you've had a call in, a little slip up, you're not gonna get terminated now. You're gonna actually just be held where you're at. You're gonna get another suspension, but you're not gonna get terminated. This can work really well. It can be a very effective way of kind of keeping people on who are still good and are improving. So you need to think about how you need to implement these things in your plan. There's tons of different ways of doing it. There's tons of different ideas out there. And if you want more ideas, just feel free to give me a call. I mean, I've got some links in the bottom in my description below where you can go ahead and get on a free 15-minute call with me. I'd happily talk to you about any of these ideas and we can just discuss it. So the results in all of this was that no shows, call-ins for us in our plant was reduced by 50%. Output stabilized, we had overtime costs drop dramatically, and the morale improved. It was great. So if call-ins are killing your numbers, start tracking patterns, start having private conversations this week. See what you can find out. Identify the patterns, that's extremely important. I'm adding a call-in reduction checklist to the toolkit. The link is in the description. It's completely free. Just click on the link and you'll get the toolkit. There's a bunch of really great stuff in there that can help you in your plant. And if call-ins and no-shows are really just driving you absolutely nuts, it's giving you the biggest headache right now, drop the word consult in the comments. Like I mentioned, I can get on a free 15-minute call. There's no pressure. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. We can just talk. It could be about this, about any topic in your plant, see if I can help you. So I would really like to know, what's your biggest call-in issue right now? Please put it in the comments below. I'd love to read it. Love to see what's going on out there, and I'll comment on every single one. I'm Brad, and thank you so much for watching another video. Please hit subscribe for more real fixes on the plant floor, and I'll see you in the next one.